Shalom. I am Rabbi Nathan Davidovich, speaking to you on behalf of the Web Yeshiva, speaking to you from Efrat, Israel. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday season. We just finished Sukkot, and we finished Shmini Atzeret and Simchas Torah. And the amazing thing about Sukkot, the two major mitzvos that we have on Sukkot, we have the lulav, the four different kinds of species that we hold together, the lulav, the etrog, the hadassim, the arovim, the willows, and the myrtles. We hold them together. If you hold them apart, if they're not together, you haven't fulfilled the mitzvah. It's a message of unity. We sit in the sukkah. The sukkah is also a message of unity. We're sitting together as a Jewish people under the shadow of God, under the protection, under the shade of God. I talked about that in last week's year. But it doesn't end there. You know, our sages tell us that when you have a chag, when you have a holiday, the joy of that holiday isn't only for that particular moment in time, but it carries through forward. So we have the joy that we've had in Sukkot, which is referred to as Yom Simchotenu, the day of our joy. It carries through the year. But there's another message of Sukkot that carries through the year and is enunciated almost verbatim in the first portion of the Torah that we read this Shabbos, the Parsha Bereisheis. Talks about the creation of the world. And if you look at it, if you look at the first few sentences, you will see that, in fact, unity and avoidance of strife and fighting with one another is really embedded in the creation of the world and is part of the creation of the world. Let's take a look at the first couple of sentences. The Torah begins with first saying how light was created. I'm not talking about the sun, but it was a special light from which you could see from one end of the world to the other. And after creating that light, God said as follows. He says, "Vayar Elohim es ha'or ki tov." God saw that the light was good. Now that sentence, seeing that the light was good, saying that this was good, is present in every single day of the story of creation, the 6 days of creation, with the exception of the second day. Now, what is the second day? The second day starts as follows. V'yomer Elohim yehi rakia b'soch hamayim, v'yimavdil bein mayim l'mayim. God said, let there be a firmament, a division between the waters, and dividing waters from waters. And it says, Vayas Elohim es rakia, God made the firmament, vayavdel bein hamayim asher mitachas l'rakia, and he separated from the waters that were underneath the firmament, bein hamayim asher mi'al l'rakia, and those that were above the firmament, v'hichein, and so it was. Vayikra Elohim, God said, l'rakia, God called the rakia, the firmament, shemayim, heavens. And it says, v'hi'erev v'hivoka yom sheni. It was night, it was morning, and it was the second day. What's missing? He didn't say, as it said before, v'yar Elohim ki tov. God saw that it was good. Why is that left out here? There's a beautiful commentary I saw by the Kli Yakar. The Kli Yakar is one of the commentaries that is found on the Chumash. It's written by Reb Shlomo Ephraim ben Aharon Lunshitz. He was a student of Reb Shlomo Luria the Marshal, and he lived from about 1550 till about 1619. And his commentary was written in about 1604. So it's about 400 years old. And he asks the same question. He says, why everywhere else does it say, God says this was good? And here, on this particular sentence, the second day, he says it's not good. So the Kli Yakar says as follows. He said, the name Rakia, somewhere else in the Torah, refers to something being flattened out, something that is a covering, it's something that separates two things. And he says, the Kli Yakar says, for this reason, God didn't say that it was good on this day, because disagreement is created on it, and God doesn't want disagreements, and certainly doesn't want to give the impression that any disagreement is good. So he said, there's no place, there's no good in a place except where we find unity. That's what the Kli Yakar said. He says further, he said he did not want that the sky would be called a firmament, which indicates a cover that separates and divides between brothers. And so therefore he called it Shemayim, heavens, which is a word that means peace. He wants peace. But if you look at the next sentence, so we see that this second sentence, not the second sentence, the second day, he didn't call the creation good, because it was a sign of disunity. And God is giving us the message that the most important thing is unity. Now go to the third day. And the third day, God says, Vayomer Elohim yikobu hamayim mitachas hashamayim. All the waters underneath the heavens should get together, should gather together to one place. Then you'll have waters in one place, and then you'll have dry land in another place. What is God telling us? That He wants everything to be together, not only in nature, but He wants His people, the Jewish people, to be together, to be unified. He wants the world to be unified, to love one another. And then on the third day, what does it say? What does it say there? It says, after completing this, it says, Vayar Elohim ki tov. God saw that it was good. In other words, the message that we learn from these two sentences, according to the Kli Yakar, which makes absolute sense to me, is that God created a world, and embedded in this creation, His desire that there not be disunity among His people, and His desire that there be unity. The beautiful thing about water is when one drop of water falls on another, the other drop moves aside and lets it be there. Contrary to a physical thing that would fall, Shlomo Carlebach talks about an apple that falls, it sits on top of the other apple. But the water makes room for it to live. That's what we have to do as Jews. We have to make room for each other. That's what we have to do as human beings, to make room for each other, to be a unified body to serve God, a unified body to live God's world in love and unity. It's something that we can do. It's something that every one of us have to work on. We can't point to the rest of the world and say, oh, what good does it do what I do? I can't do any good. Look what the world is doing. Everybody's criticizing, everybody's fighting with each other. No, folks, it starts with each of us. If we ourselves commit to love everybody, to recognize that we are all children of God, that we are all unified, the world, I guarantee you, will be a better place. Thank you for listening. On behalf of the webyeshiva.org, I wish everybody a wonderful Shabbat.